name's Martin Camden, and I'm being filmed here today with a speak out at a speak out against psychiatry protest outside the Bethlem Royal Hospital, and we're here for a number of reasons. Mainly because of our concerns about bad practice within psychiatry. Bad practice because it doesn't really work, and sometimes worse than that, you get pretty horrible results for some people.
We are gathered here today because it's the fourth protest we've had in a year, and we organised it on behalf of Susan Bevis, whose 25-year-old daughter has been incarcerated here in the most horrible ways of unnecessary medications, and not telling the daughter what the medications are and what the side effects are for. So we all gathered at 11 o'clock, and we've had a very good response.
It's been marvellous to come here, and it's the right thing to do is to speak out about what's going on. It's so important. The more people that do this, the better, and the more people are aware of what's going on, the better, because something needs to be changed here. It's horrendous what's going on. When someone's been a victim of crime or something's happened to that person, then they need counselling, they need other alternative therapies, not drugs. These drugs are so harmful. They act like LSD. They're mind-altering drugs. They cause hallucinations. My daughter's had the most terrible side effects, and no one takes any notice. No one could care less in there because it's all about making money. Anyway, I've been treated atrociously in there. I've been banned from visiting my own daughter. They try to make out I'm aggressive, but they don't like it when you complain about the services, what services there are. Allowed on the ward. My daughter wasn't even allowed me to bring her things. I was threatened with arrest so many times I've lost count. But once on all these high-level drugs, goodness knows what they put her on now, I don't know, they've moved her miles away. So they never even told me what date they were moving. Came out then that she's on clozapine and another one, metamorphine. It's disgusting what's going on. She didn't even know what she was on. They didn't even tell my daughter, but then they can do what they like under a section. And that's where the law's wrong, that's where the law fails to protect people. No one's got any powers to deal with anything. There's the CQC, they've got limited powers. There's the local government ombudsman, there's the PHSO. None of them have got any powers. They've shut my case down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so many times. This is where everything goes wrong. No one's accountable.
Just did a little bit of research into what my problem is. They don't understand that there wasn't anything wrong with me in the first place, and that I don't need to be here. And they give me medication, they give me clozapine.
But most people are too afraid, or they're patients that are too afraid, or they're stuck in a system and held like prisoners under a system. I've taken a day off work here to come here today because I feel so strongly about what's going on. It's not just this hospital. Every hospital throughout the country, the care is appalling, and the care is all about drug pushing. And drug pushing is not the answer. It's not the answer at all. There needs to be more therapeutic care. This is supposed to be renowned. It's supposed to be a leading top-level specialist hospital. And I thought that my daughter was coming here to get the best care in the world. Professor Murray was meant to give a promise a drug-free period of assessment. And he's not done that. And then suddenly he's disassociated himself from Fitzmary Tewald. And then, no sooner had she arrived here, she was approached by two members of staff saying about clozapine, and when I complained I was told it's all about clozapine here. And that's because they get their funding from the drugs companies. I've got all the research papers. I wish you were here to witness that, I really do. He's suffering from the most terrible effects on this clozapine. It's one of the most dangerous drugs of all. They're all dangerous. They cause diabetes, affect the lungs, the heart, the body organs. They're really highly dangerous drugs. They really are. And they act like LSD. They cause hallucinations. I mean, for some patients they might think they're doing all right to begin with. But then, as time goes on, that's when they experience the problems.
I mean, I've actually been detained in this hospital recently for 6 weeks, unnecessarily. Basically, I was put in hospital because I was found sightseeing at Beachy Head, and I know Beachy Head's famous for suicides, and well, I wasn't there for suicide. I mean, I was sightseeing, and I got picked up by the police and put in hospital. The 6 weeks I was in hospital, I was treated extremely badly. I mean, there's virtually no engagement with staff, no meaningful engagement, no helpful engagement, for the whole of the 6 weeks. I was so disgusted, being in hospital when, there was nothing that couldn't have been dealt with very easily in the community, but I was also disgusted at the way I was being treated, being kept totally in the dark, no information. People were drawing conclusions about me and my state of mind and not sharing those conclusions with me. I was getting more and more frustrated, so I started looking for ways of protesting. Now, most service users protest by kicking doors and throwing furniture around, and I didn't want to go down that path, so I thought, how can I protest more effectively? And on 3 occasions I actually decided to protest about various things by stripping off naked and walking around the ward naked, and obviously they didn't like that, and the first time I did it they immediately restrained me and took me to my bedroom, but I didn't fight back or anything. I mean, I let them restrain me, I let them inject me. The point of me stripping off naked was a protest, I felt that was the only, one of the best ways available to me. But then what happened next was, even more shocking, really, because once I'd protested, done these naked protests 3 times, I was assessed by a team from the psychiatric intensive care unit. They have this psychiatric intensive care unit where they really, they send people there who are very difficult to cope with. That they have serious behavioural problems, and they can get violent. Because of their mental. I suppose it's driven by mental distress, and they have a higher staff ratio on these wards, these intensive care. They said. What they said was Martin, well, you're clearly not unwell to the degree that you need to be on a psychiatric intensive care unit. So, we really don't want to put you on the PICU. However, if you carry on protesting with your naked protests, we may have to put you there, and. And this wouldn't be good for you because, you'll end up sort of being in hospital a damn sight longer, and so, I didn't like any of this. I mean, but I didn't do any more naked protests because I didn't want to take the risk of ending up in the PICU and spending a long time in hospital. So I had to find other ways of protesting, it's like, they would use, whatever powers they have available to you, they would use to push you around, to bully you, to coerce you, to intimidate you. They want certain outcomes. They want you to take the medication. If they want you to take PRN, which is this sort of temporary sedation. Any nurse can give you PRN. Just they think, oh well, you're a bit too agitated, you must have PRN. So every single nurse has the power to sedate you whenever they want you. They've got these these powers. They've got these powers to medicate you. They've got these powers to send you to your bedroom like a little child. You know, they've got these powers to transfer you to the PICU. You know, they've got these powers, and you know, and in order to get what they want, to bring to control you, to stop you behaving in ways that they don't want you to behave, you know, they will use those powers, and it's terrible. I think the system stinks. I mean, I was given PRN once for drumming on a table with my fingers. I was making a drumming noise on a table with my fingers, and the staff didn't like it, so they gave me PRN, you know. And you know, and when I was in the hospital recently, another patient was sort of getting a bit too animated and talking a bit too loudly, and he was given PRN. And they, you know, I mean, it's bad enough. It's bad enough, psychiatrists being able to dish out, these powerful medications and sedating people just because they don't like their behaviour. But when nurses can do this as well, I think it's ridiculous. You may be well on the way to building a really good life for yourself, and a long spell in hospital, totally unnecessarily so, could actually destroy all of that, and you could lose your flat, you could lose your possessions. I mean, there are so many dire consequences associated with modern day psychiatry, and the dire consequences are not talked about. The professionals, it's almost like to the professionals, the dire consequences don't exist. The side effects of medication, it's like they don't exist. They don't care about them. Even serious side effects. Even damage to internal organs. I mean, some of these drugs, damage your thyroid gland, damage your kidneys. I mean, these drugs, are toxic in one way or another, and all of the serious things are almost swept under the carpet. Dire consequences are only dealt with by the system, if they absolutely have to. I mean, it's almost not an overstatement to say that things only change when someone dies. That's how bad things have to be before you get anyone's attention, to the negative consequences or the dire consequences of mainstream psychiatry.
Especially, I've got a DVD with one psychiatrist from the Maudsley laughing his head off and saying it takes 2 minutes to come up with a diagnosis. At the end of the day, this is going on. This is what's going on.
It's been a very good day. We've had lots of support from the motorists going by, beeping their horns for us, and lots of patients have come out and spoken to us and taken leaflets into the hospital. Spoken to quite a few people. I think it's been very good. So we had the press here, we had chap taking photos, journalists.
Today's been a great success. It shows really, what a small number of people can do. I think we've shown a presence. I think the SLAM management team are going to know we've been here, and we've handed out leaflets explaining our concerns, and I think I'm looking forward to our next protest where we can build on this and be even more successful.
Free! I'm free! You can't get me!